Every night he came at the same hour, not earlier to avoid the crowd, not later to disappear into it. Always at that quiet middle point when most people were too tired to really see anyone. He sat on the same bench, under the same flickering light that never fully decided whether it wanted to work or not, holding the same small red gift always in both hands, as if letting go would break something important. People walked past him with coffee cups and phones and tired, heavy eyes. Some slowed down for half a second, like their brain registered that something was strange. But then they kept going. Most didn't slow down at all. To them, he was just part of the station. He didn't look homeless. His clothes were simple but clean. He didn't look lost. He knew exactly where he was, exactly which bench was his. He just looked forgotten, like a page someone meant to come back to and never did. The station never really slept. It only pretended to rest when the last trains thinned out and the lights dimmed. Late-night announcements echoed softly, more out of habit than necessity. Shoes scraped against the floor in long, tired patterns that sounded the same every night. Somewhere in the dark, a distant train groaned, metal complaining softly as it slowed down or picked up speed. Vending machines hummed quietly. A trash bin closed with a soft lid thud. Tiny noises filling the space so it would never be completely silent. And there he was, always in the same place, always sitting upright, never fully relaxing into the bench, always holding that red gift like it mattered more than anything else he owned, like it carried the last thread tying him to someone. He didn't scroll on a phone. There was no glowing screen between him and the world. He didn't sleep with his head against the wall. He didn't eat, even when hours passed. He just waited, as if waiting itself was his only task. Sometimes he adjusted the ribbon, straightening it with slow, careful fingers. He moved it a millimeter to the left, a millimeter to the right, as if the bow needed to be exactly in the center in case someone really looked at it. Sometimes he wiped invisible dust from the corner of the box with his sleeve. The box wasn't dirty, but he brushed it anyway, as if he expected someone to notice every tiny detail when they finally received it, as if being ready mattered. No one ever stopped to inspect it. No one ever leaned in and asked, "Who is that for?" Night after night, the gift was prepared for a pair of eyes that never arrived. Still, he held it with the same gentle care. He wore the same coat most nights, not fancy, not new, just worn enough to tell quiet stories in its soft wrinkles and slightly frayed seams. A coat that had seen more winters than anyone passing by would guess. If someone passed too close, almost brushing his knee or bumping his shoulder, he whispered, "Sorry," even when it wasn't his fault, even when they were the ones who didn't see him. He apologized as if his existence took up too much space. When the cleaner rolled past with a cart, wheels rattling over the tiles, he nodded every time. "Good evening," he would say, voice low but steady, not demanding attention, just leaving a small mark in the air so the night wouldn't swallow him completely. The red gift never left his hands, not once. He didn't rest it on the bench beside him, didn't tuck it into a bag, didn't place it on the floor. It stayed right there between his fingers like something fragile that couldn't risk a fall. It wasn't large, not a big box that demanded questions. It was small, the size of something delicate, a piece of jewelry, a folded note, a keepsake meant for only one person to understand. It looked like it had been chosen carefully, not expensive, just intentional. A gift someone had thought about, held, reconsidered, and then decided, yes, this is right for her. Something meant for someone specific, not just anyone passing by. The night shift worker noticed him by accident at first. He had worked that station for years. Long nights where the clock seemed slower than usual. Short sleep that never felt enough. A body that felt heavier every month, and a mind that drifted on autopilot. In the beginning, the old man was just another shape in the background, a silhouette on a bench. Another part of the station, like a sign or a trash can or a vending machine that was always there. Someone you pass so often that you stop really seeing them. But after a while, patterns become loud. You can ignore something once, twice, maybe 10 times. But when it repeats again and again, it stops being random. It starts asking questions without words. Same bench, same time, same red gift, tucked carefully in those steady hands. Night after night after night. The worker found himself glancing over more and more often, even when he didn't mean to. He told himself not to stare. People had their reasons. Some stories were private, and he had learned not to push. He reminded himself he was just there to work, not to collect other people's secrets. But something about it felt unfinished, like a sentence that stopped in the middle, like a door left slightly open in a quiet house. The kind of thing you keep noticing, even while you're doing something else. That night, the worker's niece was with him. Small hands that didn't know how to stay still. Restless feet that tapped to music only she could hear. Eyes that still noticed things adults had trained themselves not to see. She tugged his sleeve once, twice, a little more insistent each time. "Why does that man always sit there?" she asked, pointing without shame. The worker followed her gaze. There he was, again, same bench, same coat, same red gift. The worker shrugged, feeling the weight of not knowing. "I don't know," he admitted. He could have made something up. But the truth was simple. He had never asked. He had watched from a distance like everyone else. The girl tilted her head, studying the red gift like it was its own character in the story. "Is it a birthday?" she asked. The question wasn't dramatic. It was small, honest, the kind that lands softly but refuses to leave. The question hung in the air between them, between the worker and the man on the bench, between the red gift and all the people who pretended not to see it. Simple, clear, impossible to ignore now that someone had dared to say it out loud. The worker didn't sit down right away. He didn't march over and demand answers. He didn't ask anything personal. He didn't ask, "Who are you waiting for?" or "How long have you been coming here?" Instead, he went to the small stand that was about to close. He paid for 2 cups of tea, hands moving slower than usual, feeling the warmth through the thin paper. He walked back with the quiet determination of someone who wasn't sure what to say, but knew he couldn't say nothing. He placed 1 cup gently on the bench, not too close to the red gift, not so far that it felt distant. "For the cold," he said. No long speech, no dramatic pause. Just 3 simple words offered like a small bridge. The old man looked up, surprised. It took him a second to understand that the cup was for him. People usually passed near him, not toward him. "Oh, thank you," he said. His voice was soft, like it hadn't been used much lately, like it was stretching after a long sleep. He didn't put the gift down, not even to wrap both hands around the cup. He held the tea with one hand, the red box still resting safely in the other, as if letting go of it would undo all the nights he had spent there. They sat in silence for a while, not the kind of silence that feels awkward, the kind that makes space, the kind that lets a person breathe without needing to fill every second with noise. The worker didn't push. He didn't ask questions to satisfy his curiosity. He simply stayed close enough to say, "You're not alone right now," without actually having to say those words. Then, without being asked, the old man spoke. "I used to meet her here," he said quietly, eyes drifting toward a distant part of the platform. His voice carried memories more than sound. The worker didn't interrupt. He just listened. "She worked late, always late," the man continued. A small smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, not wide, not bright, just enough to show that the memory of her still warmed something inside him before fading again. "I bring it just in case," he said, tapping the red box gently with his thumb. "In case tonight is the night she comes back." He didn't say what had happened. He didn't explain why she had stopped appearing. He just held onto the maybe. The station hummed around them, a distant announcement, the faint sound of a train door closing somewhere else, a suitcase wheel rattling over a crack in the floor. Life moved on, as if nothing special was happening on that bench. The worker swallowed, feeling words rising and then dissolving before they reached his mouth. There was nothing he could promise, nothing he could fix, but he could stay. And so he stayed. The child leaned closer, eyes wide and serious, in a way children's eyes rarely are. "Can she see it from far away?" she asked, looking at the red gift like it was a lighthouse, like it might somehow shine through distance and years. The old man looked at her, really looked. Then, for the first time that night, he smiled fully. "I hope so," he said. And for a moment, the gift wasn't just an object, it was a signal. The ribbon on the box had come loose, barely noticeable, a small twist out of place. Most people wouldn't have seen it. But now, with 3 pairs of eyes focused on that gift, small details mattered. The worker reached into his pocket, fingers brushing past keys and receipts until they found a small piece of tape he used for torn signs and loose labels. He held it up carefully. "May I?" he asked, not touching the gift yet. The old man hesitated for a second. The box had been his responsibility for so long. Letting someone else touch it felt like letting someone else touch his hope. But then he nodded, slowly. "Yes," he said. The worker straightened the ribbon with gentle hands, smoothing out the twist. He used the tape where it wouldn't be seen, just enough to hold the loose end in place. The gift didn't look brand new. It looked respected, cared for. The old man watched every movement, not anxious, just present, watching someone else treat that small red box with the same care he had been giving it night after night. When the worker was done, he placed the box back fully in the old man's hands. The gift looked right again, not fixed as if it had been broken, just seen. Seen enough for someone to say, "This matters. Let me help you honor it." When the train arrived, the old man didn't rush. He didn't jump up like someone who had been waiting for hours in discomfort. He stood slowly, as if telling his body, "We can move now. It's time." He held the red gift close to his chest, not hiding it, not showing it off, just holding it in that quiet, protective way that says, "This is important to me, even if you don't understand why." "Thank you for noticing," he said. He didn't add anything else. He didn't explain what that meant. But the worker understood. No one had really noticed him in a long time. The worker watched him walk toward the train doors and disappear into the soft blur of the small crowd. He wasn't sure if the man would come back tomorrow. He wasn't sure if the person the gift was meant for would ever see it. The bench looked empty without him. The light above it still flickered the same way. The floor was still the same, but the space felt different now, like it had held something fragile and let it pass through without breaking. The child stood close to the worker, eyes following the train until it was gone. "I'm glad he didn't wait alone tonight," she whispered. She didn't say it loudly. She didn't need to. The words were heavy enough in the quiet. Some rescues don't look like rescues. They don't come with sirens or headlines. Sometimes they look like someone finally stopping in a place where everyone else keeps walking. They look like a warm drink placed gently on a cold bench, like a ribbon fixed without making a spectacle out of it, like a child asking a question adults were too afraid to say out loud. They look like a tired worker staying a little longer than he had to, choosing to sit, to listen, to be there, choosing for one quiet night to see a man who had been treated like part of the furniture. Some rescues don't change the past. They don't bring anyone back. They don't rewrite what was lost. But they change the way a person carries that loss for one more night. Some rescues don't look like rescues. They look like someone finally stopping and choosing to see.